Hello, good morning everyone. Selamat pagi. Welcome to today's webinar on the brand new Web of Science. My name is Julin. I am the Regional Solution Consultant for Clarivate, and it is my pleasure to be the trainer for today's session. So just some housekeeping before we start the session proper. Can someone please indicate in the chat box that you can hear me clearly? And I'll be typing in some final instructions for those who just joined us in case you can't hear me. All right. Just take note that I'm running solo today. So if you have any technical difficulties, I will not be able to attend to you immediately. All right. But rest assured, the instructions will be there on your chat box, and I hope you will be able to hear me clearly throughout the session. Otherwise, the session is being recorded, so I will be sharing with you the recording after the session today or tomorrow, and you can review the parts that you might have missed. Right? And one final tip is that because all your lines are on mute, I won't be able to hear you. So if you have any questions through the session, just type those questions into the chat box or the Q&A panel, and I'll be able to address the questions as I go through. Okay? And a very special thanks goes out to Citation Percentile of MOHE for helping to co-organize this session today. Okay? I hope that the series of webinars that we've been running together has been beneficial for all the editors as well as researchers from Malaysia. Okay? Today's session will be focused around Web of Science, and for those of you who are joining us from various universities around Malaysia, to get access to Web of Science, either your institution has to have a subscription to Web of Science itself. Otherwise, when the movement control lifts in Malaysia, then you will be able to go down to the MOHE building to access Web of Science. Okay? So it's only through a subscription. If you're keen to recommend this to your institution that currently does not have a subscription to Web of Science, feel free to reach out to me at the end of the session and we can work something out. All right, so let's begin. So again, a very warm welcome to the new Web of Science. I think Web of Science has gone through many phases. We had over 60 years of history, starting with being known as ISI in the past. Okay? And then the platform actually changed over time. And then as of today, we have launched a brand new look of Web of Science with more added features and more customizable features for researchers. So what's in the new Web of Science? This is, we've improved on the interface. So when you go into Web of Science, the new Web of Science now, you will be able to see that the interface has included more features and functionalities. There's also guides available, so online guides available to take you through each and every page of Web of Science, just so you can refamiliarize yourself with the platform. In terms of the loading times, our pages are loading faster now. I think in the past there was a lot of feedback from users that sometimes the page loads are very slow. Okay? This has been taken into consideration and we have improved on this loading, the speed of loading. Okay? We've also improved the workflow design, meaning for researchers now you can save time and effort through the discovery process because we have actually streamlined the whole interface so that it becomes more responsive and you're able to support both the basic research workflow as well as the more advanced research workflows available. And of course, it's an ongoing iteration. It doesn't just stop here. This is just the beginning. We are continuously looking to improve on the platform, and there will be a feedback. Area which allows you as researchers to provide us with your valuable feedback so that we can introduce new enhancements to the platform. So this is how the new interface looks like. For today's session, I'll be going through a set of slides first to introduce the new features, and then I'll go into the live platform to navigate through the system and have you show you the live a live demonstration. So the first and most exciting part of the improvements for a researcher in Web of Science will be the advanced search query builder. Okay, many researchers nowadays, especially the early career researchers, they might need some support in searching for specific niche research topics or niche research areas, and basic search alone does not really help. So we have included a advanced search in the past, but for advanced search, unless you are very familiar with Boolean searching and building complex search strings, okay, some researchers might feel very lost as to how to use the advanced search function. So for the advanced search query builder, that is now the advanced search option in Web of Science, we allow you to start building the query into a Boolean search string without you being required to understand how to construct the syntax properly. Okay, so on the screen here at the top, this particular part here, so you basically just choose the field that you want to search, and then once you've added this into the query, you can continue to build this, and it will build it into a proper syntax to do your advanced search. I will demonstrate this in the demo. There's also an opportunity to toggle exact search right here. So this is helpful if you do not want the search engine to ignore the last few letters of the query word. Okay, so this will give you more precise search results. Okay. So I will demonstrate this part, but later on, if you require the slides to review this, I can share this with you. Okay, but this is basically the step for building the search. Then you are allowed to preview. And the other search that we have, which is quite exciting for many of the researchers today, is the author search. Okay, so author search allows you to find an author's record on Web of Science, and we have used an algorithm to group these names together. So when you are searching for an author's name, you can actually type in the author's full name. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the author's publishing name. You can type in the author's full name to do a quick search, and the algorithm will actually group the names together based on affiliations and other published names. Okay. So for researchers, this allows you to claim your publications more quickly. Okay. You will be able to search for your own name and claim that record for yourself on Web of Science. This is an example. So once you're searching for this particular author, okay, it might appear here with various options. Okay, so just quickly show you. So there's two author records here. One is associated with Lyris. The other one is associated with University Paris. Okay, so these two might be two different researchers. All right. So what you can do is then select the correct one and view that particular author's record on the website. This is an example of the author record on Web of Science right now. We have just released a full 360-degree view of an author's work, and this includes his peer review work as well as his published Web of Science work on his Web of Science record. So today, if you're going into Web of Science author search, we can now see a very nice picture of the author if the author has claimed his record. If the author has claimed his record, you would see a green tick here to show that he has already claimed his profile. If he has a peer review information on his public profile, which is linked to Publon, okay, his peer review record will be shown. So the red boxes here are his peer review awards that he has received. Okay. You will also be able to see his various organization affiliations. And if you scroll downwards, you can now see his full publication list. Okay. His author impact profile, impact beam plot. So this author impact beam plot is also new to the Web of Science author profile. Okay. This gives you an additional view of the author's publications, because if you look at an author's H index only, okay, the H index is not a normalized indicator. Okay, and usually researchers who have a longer career, as in they have been publishing longer and they have been in the scientific research arena for a longer time, then their H index tends to be higher. Okay, but for a junior researcher, okay, their H index tends to be a little bit lower. All right. So when it comes to H index, if you are looking at just the H index alone, it doesn't tell you whether that author is performing well in more recent years compared to in the past. Okay. So if you are able to see the author's impact beam plot, this actually gives you an idea of each and every paper that he has published. Where does that paper's impact performance lie in relation to this field? Okay, so we put this into citation percentile. So the higher the percentile, the better. Okay, so an example I'm going to show you is this. So for example, here in 2019, you can see that Prof. Lam has a lot of publications along the right side, meaning it's all above 60. Most of them are above 60th percentile. What does this mean? It means that his publications that have been published in 2019, in comparison to the others in the same topic, okay, they are performing way above average. Okay, so they are performing in the top percentiles. Okay. And if you are able to plot all his papers across all the different years, you will then be able to see on average how is he performing in specific years. Okay. So for example, in 2010, actually all the way from 2010 to 2019, he has been very consistent, and his average median is always above 80. So this together with your H index then gives you an idea and tells you the overall performance of that particular author's work, okay? Whether he is indeed performing well or not. On top of the author impact beam plot and H index, you can also look at the author's position. So the author's position tells you whether that author is a lead author or not. Okay, that's why we include the first author, last author, corresponding author. So out of the 211 publications that he has on Web of Science, 16% of them are first authored, 26% of them are last authored, 37% are corresponding authored. Okay. You can also explore his co-author network, who are his most frequent co-authors, and also his full peer review metrics. So his peer review metrics would be showing how many peer reviews he has done, how many records he has done as a editor. Okay. So now with this new Web of Science author record, this gives you the full 360-degree view of the author. Then into the content of Web of Science, the search results page has been improved. So we have included new features here. The first one is the queries. So from the queries itself, you can easily edit your search within your search results page. In the past, you always had to go back to the front page to do a quick search again to edit your query, but now you can do so immediately on the results page. You are also able to sort your list by relevance. So the results now is defaulted as by relevance. Okay. So by default, any search that you have run will be sorted by relevance first, okay, not by date. But of course, if you want to sort your list by date, usage counts, and citations, this can still be done. We also have this new feature, not new feature, but a feature that has been very useful, which is called Endnote Click, or the formerly known Copernio. This is a plugin that you can install onto your browser so that it can retrieve the subscribed full text for you. So this used to be hidden behind each Web of Science record. Now it is surfaced in the search results page, and immediately you can click on the View PDF with Endnote Click to retrieve the full text. We also included a new early access filter. So if you want the articles that are brand new, okay, early access, you can filter by early access under the quick filters. And there's a new filter here where we have filter by publisher. So this is now available on the refine panel. So on the left-hand side, if you want to refine your results based on publisher, you can do so. And of course, if you want to share a query with us, okay, so you can share this, share a query with your colleagues or your co-authors, okay, or your teammates. Okay. You can actually now copy the whole query link and send it in a text message or WhatsApp message or email to your colleague that you want to have a look at the search result. Okay. This is very useful because in the past you were not able to share your search query easily. Okay, so now there's a copy query link, and if your colleague or your friend has access to Web of Science, they can immediately see the result set that you were looking at. Okay, there's a question here about the author position. Why does it matter if an author is the last author? So for certain research fields have their last author as the lead researcher. Okay, so usually the author positions is how you see the lead researcher. So usually either the first or the last author will be the lead, depending on the subject specialization, and then the corresponding author might be the supervisor, or the last author might also be the supervisor, depending on the field. So these three positions are usually the more important positions to look at if you want to identify who is the most prominent researcher within that project group. Okay, so I hope that has answered your question. Okay, then going on, we also have the export features available. So in the past, we have always been able to export. It's the same thing now in the new Web of Science. You can still export the list, but this time the full record list. So if you have exported data in the past, you can remember that there's a limit. So there used to be a limit of 500 full records. Okay. Now in the new Web of Science, this has been increased to 1,000. So you can export 1,000 at a time. So what does this mean? If you have more than 1,000 records, you basically start with record number 1 to 1,000, and then you continue on with 1,001 to 2,000. Okay, so you export this in batches of 1,000. For the record itself, on the article record itself, the citation network is still visible as per the previous version. Okay, and all the citation information will be included in the citation network so that you can easily see this if you have subscription to other databases that are linked to Web of Science. Okay. If you have a subscription to journal citation reports, you can see the journal's impact factor. Okay. Otherwise, you will just be viewing the quartile information of the journal. And then for the full text links, if you want to retrieve the full text, there are links to the full text article if it's free full text from publisher, open access, bronze articles, or from a repository. And we also included a new link to allow you to search on Google Scholar immediately. Now, this is something brand new that was released just last Friday, and this is called the Enhanced Cited References. So within each record on Web of Science, so each record is one article. Each article's reference list will be listed in that record. Okay, so the references that have been used, these are what we call cited references. In the past, you could only see them as a list of cited references with time cited. But now we have included a new feature called Enhanced Cited References to show you exactly where within the content these references have been used. Okay? So it's a bit small, but later on I will demonstrate this to you in a live demonstration. So what you can see here is there are 57 references in the introduction, and then you can click into each of these dots here to see how it has been mentioned in the text. Okay, same thing goes for this that are in the basis. So these are the background. Okay, and addition to the background, so basis of the discussion. Okay, this is where you list down the methodology or the theory that you have used in your in that research. So there are 50 cited references used here, and then you can click onto each one and see how it has been mentioned in that text. There are 55 here in discussion, and then you can view the details right here. So how is this useful for you as a researcher? Okay, it allows you to see whether you can trust the results of the paper by exploring all the references used. Then it gives you an opportunity to see which are the more important papers that I should be looking at in this set of cited references. Okay. And it will also tell you how what do the experts think with regards to these references. Then in terms of the analyze results feature, so there's if you've used Web of Science before, the analyze results function is useful for you to look at a set of documents and see, for example, who can you collaborate with in this area of research or this topic, which journals to publish in this specific topic, as well as which other countries or institutions are publishing in this topic itself. So the analyze results function is still the same as the classic version, okay? Except that now it looks a little bit more cleaner, and you will be able to do more with the visualizations. Okay. The example here is shown where you're able to see the publication years, so you're able to sort the list of documents in publication years, and you will be able to export this bar chart to have a quick visualization and use this on any reports that you or PowerPoints that you require. Then if you want to export the data, the full tables are also exportable. And there is now a new open access analysis, so you can immediately see in this particular topic what percentage of the documents are published in open access content in the various options of open access. For the citation reports has now got a better visualization. Okay, we include both the publications and the time cited into one visualization now, so that you can see whether there's a corresponding increase with citations as well as publications. Then you can still do the same thing in the past where you can view the citation metrics. You can look at the document details in the table and how the citations have come in for each year. There is also an opportunity for you to remove any specific records that you think you do not require in this analysis. So you can just click on the minus sign and then you can remove that particular paper. Now the search history is still available there, but we have included more functionality where you're able, so the system will immediately start tracking your search history so that you're able to come back and see the timestamp of when you have run that last search, and you can choose to rerun that search if required. If you want to create an alert, it becomes more easy. Okay? So once you have done a search, just right next to the search query and the citation report, there's a create alert functionality button, and you can click on that and immediately create that alert for that search. Okay, earlier on I mentioned about Endnote Click. So this is the QR code to search for Endnote Click. Otherwise, I will be showing you how to go to Endnote Click from the product itself. Okay. So now let me just go into the new Web of Science. So you should be seeing my browser now, which is showing the new Web of Science. Okay. If any of you are still keen to go back to the classic Web of Science, you can still go back to the classic Web of Science by clicking on Products, click on Web of Science Classic, and you can still go back there. Right? If it's the first time you're using the new Web of Science, you might want to start exploring the Resource Center. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's a question mark here. This is what we call the Resource Center. And you can find all the product updates, guided tours, training links, news and events, and help all in one page right here. So the guided tours are very useful. So this guided tours gives you an orientation. So let's say I want to just quickly go into document searching. I can click on orientation document search. And you see this pop-up come up. So this is like your online guide. So they will guide you, explain to you each of these features as they get started. So the next step. So the next step is here. Select a database to begin. Okay, so you're all under Web of Science core collection. Okay, and then next, choose a search field. So basically choose what you want to search for, and then next. Okay, then continue with adding date ranges. Okay, and then that's it. Okay, and you can start searching. So for today, I'm going to show you how to do searching using the basic search here under Documents. The search options are the same as the classic Web of Science, but one thing I wanted to highlight to you was this one, so affiliation. So in the classic Web of Science, it was known as Organization Enhanced. So Organization Enhanced is the way that we have grouped name variants of organizations together into one unified name. So now it is known as affiliation. We have just put everything into the name affiliation. So if you want to find the research of one particular university, there is an A to Z index here, which you can search through. Okay. So if you are looking for, say, okay. So University Malaysia Terengganu is here. If you want to see the name variants, you can click on the question mark, and the name variants will be here. Otherwise, you can just add to query, and then the correct one will be listed. Oops, I included UPM, but you get what I mean. So basically you search for your university name and then you include that university into this. Okay. Now there's a question here about, I have read recently that AHCI and ESCI have met the same quality criteria. So does this mean that ESCI can be considered as ISI too? Yes, so all along, AHCI and ESCI all belong to ISI. Okay, so the Web of Science core collection, which is this one, Web of Science core collection, is made up of all these documents here, all these indexes. So you have AHCI, VKC books, conferences, ESCI, Emerging Sources Citation Index, as well as Science Citation Index and Social Science. So all these indexes do belong to Web of Science. So as long as the journal is indexed in any of these journal indexes, which is AHCI, ESCI, SSCI, and SCIE, they are considered ISI journals. Okay? The only difference is that only the Science and the Social Science Citation Index journal has a journal impact factor. The other journals in ESCI and AHCI do not have journal impact factor, but they have a new indicator called journal citation indicator. Okay, so just take note, as long as the journal can be found on Web of Science, it is considered indexed in Web of Science. If you want to verify whether a journal has a journal impact factor, you need to make sure that the journal is indexed in Science, Citation Index Expanded, or Social Science Citation Index. I hope that's clear. Okay. Then another question came in, how can I access this website from UMT, University Malaysia Terengganu? So UMT actually has their own subscription to Web of Science already. So you can access this through your library website. Okay? So just go to the library website and then you access from there. Okay, so now back to the search. Okay, so this is how you search for your own affiliation. Okay. Now, for today, I'm going to do a quick topic search here. And I want to search for, say, IoT. Okay. And then we do a quick search. So, IoT, Internet of Things, can be quite generic. So it can apply to many different fields. So this is a very broad search, which gives you a very large result. But what you can do from this large result is to use the refined results filters here on the left to narrow things down a bit for your own specific use. So a few things you can do. Number one, what are the latest publications around IoT? So you can go to look at early access documents. Highly cited papers and hot papers, these two you can access via MOHE. That means if you are able to go to the MOHE building and access Web of Science, from their version of Web of Science, you can see highly cited papers and hot papers. Okay. Otherwise, the basic subscription to Web of Science will not show you this. Okay. But highly cited papers, like its name suggests, papers that have been highly cited in the past. And these are papers that have been published in the past 10 years that put their citation in the top 1% of their field. Okay. For the hot papers, these are papers that have been published in the more recent 2 years, and its citation puts them in the top 0.1% in their particular field. Okay. The other thing that you can use to filter your results are things like the publication year. So right now, you can use the publication years here to do a filter. So you can narrow things down to probably maybe past 5 years or 6, okay, depending. So you can select these first, okay, and then you continue on with your filters here. You can filter by document type. So let's say I only want to see articles, okay. The Web of Science categories, these are the 254 subject categories that we have. So Internet of Things can be applied across many different fields. So if you want to limit this down to a specific area, So let's say green sustainable science technology. You can limit to green sustainable science, energy and fuels, environmental sciences. Okay. And if you're done, so after you browse through everything else, if you're done, then you can click refine. And you can see now this has been refined by document types, articles, and Web of Science categories here. Okay, so now you can easily see what you have filtered and how you have filtered the results. So if you're happy with this result, you can either create a saved alert, and then every time there's a new article that fulfills this criteria, it will be alerted to it. Okay? Or if you want to copy this and share this with your colleagues, you can copy and then paste it into a chat. So for example, now I pasted the link into the chat. And then for those of you who have access to Web of Science, you can go in, click on that link, and then see immediately these results that I've been looking at. The next thing that I will want to show you is the search page. So this is default sort by relevance. If you want to sort this by citations, highest first, you can do so. Okay. And if you want to sort this by date, with the newest first, you can also do so. Okay, it very much depends on what you want to look at. So one particular tip that I can share with you is that if you have a research area that mentions about a specific technology, for example, okay, and you want to explore when this technology first started, you can enter the technology name. Okay, so an example that I will share with you is this. So if you're in medicine, let's say I'm looking for epoxomycin. Oh, I'm spelling this correctly. So if this is the particular compound that you are working on, you're thinking of working on, you want to see its historical relevance. When did it first start? So you can do a quick search. Okay, so I spelled it wrongly, so I'm talking about epoxomycin here. Okay, so do a search. So there's 339 results on epoxomycin. Now let's say I want to see when it first started. Then I can sort this by oldest first. Okay, so you can see it first started it was discovered in 1992. Epoxomycin, a new anti-tumor agent of microbial origin. So this is how you can start exploring when that technology or that compound started or was discovered. And from here, you can then see how this research has evolved over time by exploring the citation network of this article. So you can then see, oh, there are 162 citations about this new compound. Click on this 162. This is the cited reference list of that article. And you can then explore to see which has been most highly cited. Citation highest first. Okay. And have a read in with the abstract. So now the abstract is also surfaced on the results page. You can easily look at the abstract. And if this is indeed interesting and useful for you, you can then continue to explore the citations about this particular next article. Okay? So using Web of Science is about research discovery and using the citation network to explore the evolution of that technology over time. With this exploration, you can then easily pinpoint where are the gaps in the research so that you can define your research topic more strongly. Okay. All right. So this is about exploring the record. Okay. If you see this, so if you've installed Endnote Click, okay, you can see view PDF with Endnote Click. So if you see this, it means that you can retrieve the full text immediately without having to do a new search. Okay, so saves you a lot of time. So this is the full text paper. You can download this into your PC for your own reference, or if you're using Endnote, you can export this to Endnote Desktop immediately. Okay. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to show you was the Analyze Results feature. So let's stick to this particular step here. So from here, under the reference list used by this originating paper, I can do some analysis. So you can click on Analyze Results. And you can look at these potential ways of looking at the content. So you might want to see who are the authors publishing in this area. So you have this particular author here that's more prominent, or you might want to see which funding agencies have funded research about approximation. Okay, who are the funding agencies around the world? If you're finding a collaborator, you might want to look at, earlier on I shared with you author's name. You can also look at affiliation. So which university, so Yale is very prominent. Okay. You can also see which are the publication titles, which journals to publish in. Okay, so these are some options for you. So the Analyze Results capability allows you to do these kinds of analysis. So let's go back to the search results, 162. You can create a citation report. So this citation report basically looks at the references used in this particular paper. Okay, you can see the visualization here. How many publications over time. And you can even see that there has been a quiet time at the beginning. So even though it has started, it was launched in 1992. Okay, nothing much really happened until 1999. Okay, and then the table here can be exported if you require that data. Okay, so let's go back to the search result again. Just want to quickly see what else that I have missed out that I might want to show you. Okay, so if you click into this particular article itself, just to have a look at the content, if you want details about the article, it can be found here. We give you all the authors' names. We also give you the affiliations, okay, funding information, funding agencies. And then on the right, we have the citation network, as well as the links to other papers that you may also like that is closely related to this one. Okay? So these are some recommended reading. And we will also surface the most recently cited journals. So that means who is citing this particular article, what was the latest citation. Okay. And then that's it. Okay. So just to go back to the search again. Right. Now from here, if you want to do a quick search on authors, you can do so by clicking here, authors. Okay. I can do a quick search. So I'm going to show this example. If anybody on the call has published a paper in Web of Science, feel free to volunteer your name, and I can do a quick search for you for your name. Okay, but I won't be able to go through everyone's name. Okay, so I'll randomly pick one volunteer. Okay, so just put in your name if you want me to search for your papers in Web of Science. Okay, but for this example, I'm going to show you Prof. Lam. So you can just type in the full name search here. Search. Right. And then you have Prof. Lam's profile. So as I mentioned, the peer review information has just been included, and this comes from Publon. So he has already claimed his profile via Publon. So that's why there is a link here to his public profile. If you click on the view public profile, this particular link goes to his Publon's profile here. Okay. So this does not require a subscription to see. Okay. Anybody can view his profile here. But in this page, this requires a Web of Science subscription. So we also include the author impact beam plot. This is a summary picture. So looking at his full career, all his papers put together, his average citation percentile is right here, which is about 80, close to 80. Okay. And if you go down, you can see his publications, all his publications, and also his impact beam plot. So there's a way for you to toggle by full career. If you want to export this data, you can as well. So for universities who want to evaluate researchers based on the publications, performance, it becomes easier once you have this profile. So you can just immediately go to that person's profile and export at a later time. So we're working on this export, so you can in future be able to immediately verify how is his performance. So by looking at his full career, you can then safely say his performance has been quite consistently good. Okay? Because if he only has a few papers that are above on the right hand side, then it shows that he is not very consistent in his performance. Okay? But in this case, it's always consistently here on the 85th percentile. Right? So if you continue to scroll downwards, you can see his author network, the peer review metrics, his author positions. These are all available. Okay, so I don't see any volunteers. Nobody wants to volunteer. So I'm going to do a quick search on a particular author's name. Okay, so let's see. Okay. So let's say this particular author is who I want to search for. Okay. So this particular author has one publication. So if this is you, okay, and you are from this, and this is your university, then you can claim. Okay, so you can click on Claim My Record. Then it will prompt you to claim this, proceed to claim, and this is through Publons. Okay, proceed to claim. And if you have your own Publons account, you can log in. Otherwise, you can create your own account here, and immediately it will be a claim record. So it will take 72 hours before you will be given a researcher ID. So the researcher ID is what you see on Prof. Lam's profile here, which is this one. Okay, so you see this one. This number will be given to you within 72 hours, and it will be shown here. And next to your name, it will show that it has been a claim record already. Okay. Now there's a volunteer here for the search. So I'm going to do a quick search on this author. So your last name will be this one. Then so you can see that immediately I can find your full name. Search. So this is you. You're from UniMap. Okay. Confirm that it is you. Then you have 2 publications. Confirm that these are your 2 publications. And just click on Claim My Record and proceed to claim through Publons. Okay. So once you have done this, then you'll be given your Web of Science Researcher ID. Okay. For those of you who are administrators within your own universities, for example, if you're working in the library, okay, and you know that this particular author's work, you have maybe out of this list, some of them do not belong to that author, and you want to submit a correction, we now have an opportunity for you to submit a correction here on behalf. Okay, so you can use this to do an author correction. Okay, so this will help us make the records cleaner and more usable. Okay. Okay, the other thing that I needed to show you besides the author profile will be the a mark list. So your previous mark list, if you have previously used mark list before, okay, all your mark lists have already been ported over to the new Web of Science. And as of last Friday, you can now also do and analyze results or citation reports to that specific list of papers that you have. Okay, so if your list here is about gravitational waves, you created this mark list, okay, then you can do an analysis specific to this set of documents. Okay. For your alerts, once you have saved your alerts, citation alerts, and so on, you can retrieve your alerts from here. Okay, and this would be where you retrieve your alerts. Now, the other thing that I can show you is your advanced search. So the advanced search here, you can click on advanced search. It takes you to advanced search query builder. This will become very, very useful for you. So let's say, for example, I want to find a topic. Let's say IoT. So just now I search for IoT. Then you can add to query. You can see now it has created a very nice, it has transformed this into the Boolean query, okay, where there's a field tag here. So the field tags available are here. In the past, you needed to know how to build this list. If you build a longer and longer search string, for me, I get confused where to put the brackets and so on. So this will help minimize that error. The next thing that you can add in might be publication year published. So maybe 2010 to 2020. Okay. Then you can choose the connector and okay. Then the next thing is maybe I want to find the country. Okay, let me see. So for country, the important thing is probably the address. Okay. So address, you can put in the country's name. Otherwise, if you want a specific affiliation, I'm just going to do this and I'll find Malaya and then add to query. Okay. So now I have this search string and basically I'm looking for IoT publications in IoT between the years 2010 to 2020 published by UM. Okay, and then search. So there's 102 papers published by UM between this time, and these are the papers. Okay, so the advanced search is very useful when you want to build long, complex search string. And you can see here we have now got the history included. And if you want to add this to your current search, you just click on Add to Search. Okay. Let me see, there's a question here. My university has not subscribed to WAS yet. Is there other alternatives how to access Web of Science? Yes, like I mentioned. So if your university currently does not subscribe to WAS, the only other option will be either to recommend that your institution subscribes to Web of Science, or you have to go to the MOHE building site to access Web of Science. Okay. Okay, so to access the last part that I will be showing you is how to access the Endnote Click. Okay, so under the products list here, we now have more links out to other databases, other products. So if you want to go and view Publons, just click here. The master journal list is here to verify journal names. Okay, if you want to install Endnote Click, this is where you go to for Endnote Click. Oh, one point, I forgot to show you the export function. So I'm going to show you quickly how to export. Let's say I'm doing this search. Okay, there is an export feature here. So you can export immediately to Excel. Okay, so if you want to export, you can see the limit has increased to 1000. Okay. Select 1000. If you want the full record, choose this and then export. Okay. And that's it. So in the meantime, is there any other questions that I might help to address? Okay, feel free to type those questions in. We have about 5 more minutes before we end the session. Okay, if you have no further questions, this is the link to the post-event survey for today's webinar. It would be great if you can help us to fill that out. Okay, the survey results will be sent directly to MOHE. Okay. So just do a quick scan of this. Let me just copy the link also on the chat so that you can fill that in. Okay. So for those of you who do not have further questions, thank you for attending today's session. For those of you who want to stay back for more questions with me, I have about 3 minutes left. So just type the question in, and then I'll be able to address any question you might have with regards to Web of Science. Okay. If you're still shy and you need time to explore, okay, my email address is here, bju-lyn.chng@clarivate.com. Just reach out to me via email, and I'll be able to address your question. Okay. So I hope you all stay safe, and thank you for joining today's session, and see you next time. All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.